are not impressed. China's Xinhua released a scathing editorial saying the shutdown exposes chaotic flaws in the U.S. political system. All this happened on the one-year anniversary of Mr. Trump's presidency. Now, I spoke to Keith Richburg, the director of Hong Kong University's Journalism and Media Studies Center, about Asia's perception of Trump's leadership.
It just feeds into this idea that the Western democracies and the U.S. are dysfunctional right now. You know, I've sat on panels here, including one from the SCMP here in Hong Kong recently, where there was a lot of this talk about whether the Western model doesn't work anymore, democracy doesn't work, and China is offering this alternative system, saying, look, we're really glad we didn't follow Bill Clinton's advice when we joined the WTO and open our economy and make it more liberal politically. They're saying, look at the mess your countries are in now, with Brexit in the UK and now in the US with the Trump election, and you guys can't even keep your government open. So it just feeds into this narrative that the West is in decline, China is in the ascendancy, China is offering an alternative model for a lot of people out there. So that's why it looks really bad.
And that was a narrative that Chinese President Xi Jinping really capitalized on last year when he spoke at Davos, the World Economic Forum. Yep. We understand that Donald Trump is set to go to Davos. He is on schedule to give a big speech there on Friday. Could we see a new persona out of Donald Trump, a globalist Donald Trump?
I don't think you would see that as much, because he's going to go there and push this America First agenda and try to tell these world leaders gathered there what America First really means. He might try to soften the rough edges of it. But the irony would be if he can't even go because the government is shut down. Yeah. I mean, imagine Xi Jinping goes there and he gives a very open speech about the need for trade and globalization, and then Donald Trump is stuck in Washington dealing with a shutdown when he's supposed to be the consummate deal maker. The guy who wrote The Art of the Deal can't cut a deal to keep the lights turned on in Washington. Think of the irony of that.
You know, 1 year into the Trump presidency, has Trump conquered Asia, or has Asia conquered Trump?
I think Asia's got the measure of this guy. They figured him out pretty early on. I mean, some of the earliest guests to Mar-a-Lago were Xi Jinping, and he came with gifts. He knew that Trump likes flattery. He likes to be able to say, I got something, I got to win. So what did he do? He lifted the ban on U.S. meat, U.S. beef going into China. But, you know, he brought in this, he opened up the market of China to U.S. beef. Then you had Shinzo Abe was there even before. You know, they played a round of golf together. They had this bromance together. And then when Trump made his trip to Asia, they knew how to flatter him. All of the things he was talking about during the campaign. He was talking about the bad free trade deal with Korea, talking about Japan as a currency manipulator, talking about China, and he was going to name them a currency manipulator. None of that happened. He got flattered. He got this lavish reception at the Forbidden City. In Japan, he played a round of golf with Abe, who gave him a hat that said, you know, making the alliance greater, even greater, you know, Donald and Shinzo. But I think now the Asian leaders, they figured him out. You flatter him, you give him something that he can take home as a win, you make him think that he's the most important guy. Even with the Koreans, they're willing to say, hey, you know, it's because of you we're having this dialogue now with North Korea. It's all because of you, Donald. And I think he loves that kind of praise.
Human rights and press freedom, a priority for this U.S. president. So what are we going to see happen in Asia, especially in places like Myanmar and the Philippines?
Absolutely. I think that's the one distressing thing. Some people who say there has been a huge change from the Obama administration to Trump would be those who are, you know, concerned about human rights issues, those who are concerned about press freedom. A lot of these authoritarian rulers around Asia have started trumpeting or parroting Trump's fake news mantra that he repeats at every turn. You're actually starting to hear in Duterte in the Philippines say it's fake news, and he shuts down news organizations like Rappler, as he did. You're starting to hear the Prime Minister in Malaysia say it's all fake news when the 1MBD scandal stories are exposed. Hun Sen in Cambodia has shut down Voice of America. Radio Free Asia is no longer able to broadcast there. The Cambodia Daily shut down. And he very specifically, Hun Sen very specifically quoted Trump saying, it's all fake news. You guys broadcast fake news. And in Myanmar, the journalists who exposed the Rohingya massacres have been told they're just sprouting fake news. So, you know, not only has Trump not gotten the backs of the journalists, but he's actually giving some of these authoritarian leaders an excuse to kind of crack down on their own press, which is not something I think the White House intended, but I think it's one of those unintended consequences.